Welcome back. This is the Morning Bright Focus Show with me, Victoria Chibet, and of course we have our expert on set, David Kibe. And today we are talking on an interesting topic on parenting. And as we know, parenting is one of the most researched fields in social science. Whether it's having to know whether to spank your children, whether to avoid overfeeding your children, what is good parenting skills, what is bad parenting skills, it's all been researched. And today we have someone who can be explaining and talking to us about it. Remember to send your questions and your comments through our social media handles: Facebook Focus TV Kenya, Instagram Focus TV _Kenya, and Twitter at Focus TV Kenya. Remember, we are live on Facebook as well, so you can get to that page and share. All right, let's go straight to parenting. Karibu sana, Mr. Kibe. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well.
Yes, I'm excited for this topic.
Wow.
It's interesting, right?
Yes,
right. Okay, so let's just start with what is parenting.
Well, first of all, let me take this opportunity to welcome the viewers.
Okay.
Karibuni sana. Then we just want to talk about parenting today.
Yeah.
And a little introduction or definition would go a long way.
Yes.
So parenting basically is raising up a child or raising up children. As simple as that. Yes.
Really?
And we've all been raised up, we've all been born in a family. And so there has been that role played by parents, when you are growing up, all the way from infancy, all the way to teenage, then post-teenage, adolescence, which basically means adult becoming, then all the way to young adults. Kuendelea mbele. It doesn't matter whether you are 40 or 60 or 80, you had a parent. And who you are right now, Victoria, is a product of your environment in parenting.
Okay.
How you're brought up really determines or influenced who you are today. You cannot run away from that. Mm-hmm. And I remember last time we also talked about handed down emotions.
Yes.
And so, as I said, we are products of our past in parents, in parenting. So you can only be able to tell the kind of a background one has based, but by actually thinking or looking at the parenting side of it. Mm-hmm. Because as I say, you cannot run away from that. Well, some people are go-getters, others are people are a little bit shy, others are social. You remember we talked about the personalities, different types of personalities. All that is a product of parenting. I remember also mentioning last time that in parenting, there's a very vital stage that a parent needs to really be keen on, especially the developmental phase of a child.
Yes, and
that is when children begin to talk and to understand things and to make sounds, a little bit of, because any sound to a child is communication. A parent then needs to be very keen on that so that they don't lose the child. If you lose a child at the time they're beginning to talk, all through the developmental phase, then post-developmental phase, if you lose them there, you'll hardly get them again.
Wow.
So let's begin from the onset of the developmental phase at infancy.
Okay.
Because we have to go all the way.
Exactly. So before we go to that, why then is parenting so important? I know that a parent is not necessarily your mom or dad, right?
So true.
Is that true?
So true.
A parent is anyone who influences you.
Exactly.
From when
who brings you up?
Who raises you up? Who raises you?
Up,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So why then is parenting so important?
Well, let me take you.
During
Well, I like mounting my talks and my philosophy on the Bible.
Okay.
And because the family is where God initiated a relationship. He also sustains a family. And therefore, a family being initiated and supported by God is a very important aspect of life. Because when you have a good family upbringing, then you have a healthy nation. You also have a healthy church.
Right.
But the order is that when you have a good family that is not per se dysfunctional, we'll have a good church and then we'll have a good world or a good nation. It doesn't go the other way around.
Okay.
And so sometimes as parents we miss, whether you are an adopted child or a stepfather, a stepmother, you still a parent. We miss the important aspect of knowing exactly why God really has a desire that a family is good. It is therefore very important if every parent would zero in and understand the aspects of a family and the importance of it. Because if you don't know the importance of a family, then you are in for a rude shock. Because God desires that a family is right. A family is, and right also means righteous.
Okay.
Righteous here, I don't mean holy or not holy or
Right.
sinful or evil. I mean right from the word right.
Okay.
So that everything else will flow. Everything else falls into place. Without a good family, things don't fall in place. If you look at the society today,
Yes.
you'll see that we have so many ills. We have problems in schools, problems in the churches, problems in the political scene,
That's true.
problems everywhere you go, problems in the matatus,
That's true.
because it zeroes in on the family. What kind of an upbringing was there?
That's true. Actually,
Yeah.
when we were talking about on newspaper review today, we've realized that the rate of teenage pregnancy, is actually a crisis
Oh,
right now.
Right.
Yes, after the exams were done, we saw that many of the students had their exams done in hospitals
Mhm.
after delivering. So that is a crisis.
That is a crisis.
Absolutely.
And as I said, many things about us today, as adults, whether young adults, older people, it rises and falls on the kind of family we were brought up.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so a parent, being able to understand their role and that role plays a very vital role, then they will not sit back, but will only take their place as allowed by God himself. Well, now, when a child begins to talk, right,
Right.
to communicate,
Right.
whether to utter a word or a sound, there are vital things a parent needs to be able to capture and enforce in the child. One of them, I call them the 5 key words when bringing up a child at infancy, the moment they begin to talk. One of them is come, kuja. The other word is open. Because, if infants will try to solve anything they come across, they need to understand. So if an infant will take something to put in the mouth, they don't know. They do that indiscriminately. You need to tell them open, as in the mouth, open. That's the keyword number 2. Number 3 is hush or silence. Another one is stop.
Or no.
Another one is no, right? Those are vital words, among many other words. So a parent would need to, first of all, be able to do that and influence it on the child, because leadership is influence. You are a leader. A parent is a leader. You need to influence the child by beginning from the nitty-gritties as they come up. Because as I said, remember, this is the developmental phase of a child. You miss that one, you miss the child for good.
And you said the development stages ranges from what age to what age?
We say from 4 to 8, but nowadays it is a little bit changing. Based on development, the digital age, the .NET era, children are becoming sharp at a very, very, very tender age. Okay. So it has come down. Just like the age of the girls would, the teenage, the teenage age for a girl is now coming down. Zamani ilikuwa inakaa kidogo. So children developmental phase has a little bit come down. When they grow up, they come across, they find Androids, they find tablets, they find computers, they find smart TVs.
Very true.
They become so sharp at a very early age.
And I see that parents nowadays even give the children tablets to quiet them down, to make them quiet. They give them phones, and so from a young age they know about phones.
Yeah, and actually as we progress in this, you will realize that is a very, very, very slippery ground, because parents forget to instill the right values and allow gadgets to instill the values instead. Because parents now, because of the busy schedules, they don't want to influence the children or talk to them directly. They are now allowing gadgets to do parenting on their state.
Oh, no.
So we'll come to that later. Come, open, hush, no, or stop. Keywords. If a child is going to the fire or crawling to the fire, you say stop. They need to understand that word. However you pronounce it, or even if you use it in your mother tongue, wacha, or that Kalenjin word that you want to use. Let them understand. There's no language that is superior to the other. Only that the environment tends to make us think that one language or mother tongue is superior to the other. No, but whichever language you are trying to teach or train your child with, you need to allow them understand those words. Anaenda kwa moto, stop, or no. If they become noisy, you say hush or silent, or you indicate by silence. They need to master those words as they grow up, so that you begin to instill. Well, I wouldn't really talk more on that because it's a very deep area. It's a very wide topic. What I'm thinking of is just try to capture a few areas that are important.
Right. But I do have a question on the words that you're saying. Mm-hmm. Why is it important for them to learn those particular words? You just said it's important.
Because, those words are value-based.
Okay.
Right? They're action-based, and an action is based on the value system.
All right.
Whatever you do is a product of your thought process.
Okay.
Your thought patterns, what you do is a product of your thought process. Right. So these words are actually meant to trigger an action, and that action is mounted on the thought process. So when I speak these words, they are important because they are as important as the action itself.
Okay.
Right?
I understand that.
And remember that at that stage, it doesn't make sense to try to explain. The child does not understand. We say that their concentration level is really diminished. And so that's why we are not really talking about explaining the meaning of the words to the child. It's just mentioning them, to try to take an action.
Right.
You don't need to explain why, because the why question will come later in life as they grow.
They won't even understand.
They do not even understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, is there perfect parenting, according to you?
Well, that's a very good question. And that is what I was now coming to. To be honest with you, is every family setup. Let me use the word family. Every family is quote unquote dysfunctional in some way. Okay. Dysfunctional in some way.
All right, okay.
And I'll give you examples or categories of family or examples of family or parenthood that are going to explain that a little bit more. For example, you've had what we call we call them, because that lies under dysfunctional parenting, call them severe parents, right? Severe parents are parents who know two things, or who instill two things in a child. It's either pain or pleasure. Mm-hmm. It's either punishment or reward.
Okay.
It's called a severe parent.
So we are going to the types of parenting.
Yes, now we are now. That's why I said every family is a little bit quote unquote dysfunctional. Okay. There's no perfection in anything. Okay. Now, a severe parent is a parent who is punishment oriented and reward oriented. Period. Okay. It's either punishment or reward. Okay. If a child does a mistake, right? They do not know exactly they do not care why they did a mistake. They do not care why the child has a problem in triggering an action that is positive. All they know is ukikosea na chapa. Usipokosea, then we are good to go. It's called the zero-sum requirement. Whether you are either eat or not. Na iko shida. It's called the severe parent. Most of us today have been brought up like that. Most of the old viewers, I know they would agree. They've been brought up or raised up like that. That mama alikuwa nikikosea na nichapa. And that is why the problem is.
Why?
Let me tell you why. A severe parent, if you do a flimsy mistake, a flimsy mistake, the punishment is as rough as a small mistake.
Oh, okay.
Because they are severe. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens in the mind of the child, in the thought process of the child, whether they speak it out or they speak to themselves, is that nikifanya kitu kidogo nitachapwa sana, nikifanya kitu kubwa na so if I do something small and the punishment is so severe, and I do something great, this punishment is equally as severe, then I better do something great, right? More distressing, nichape tu mara moja. What happens? The child becomes hardcore. Because they are severe.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes you see children who...
So if they do a small mistake, they'd rather do
the
small
spanking
and then
is
do
a severe
and do
as a big mistake. So as they grow up, they begin to be, we call it rationalization.
Okay. So for example, if I was maybe if this small young person who knows mistake is mistake, whatever.
Yes.
They'll take sugar, but they won't take kidogo sugar. They'll take the whole pack of sugar.
Yeah, because even a small bite,
Yes.
It deserves an equally harsh spanking or punishment. I said it is either punishment or reward. That's a severe parent.
That's so true. Okay.
When you see children who are hardcore, I've been able to visit
Hardcore. What do you mean by hardcore?
hardcore
Explain,
using the word
please.
criminals, hardcore criminals, right? I've been privileged to visit I was privileged, let me use that word, in the past to visit quite a number of prisons in Kenya. I did Kamiti. I used to go for talks every week. I did Shimolatewa. I did Industrial Remand Prison, you know. And one thing I realized is most of the prisoners, 75% or above, are between the age of 20 to 35. They are very young.
Oh my
And
goodness.
if you ask them, I remember I asked a few why they were, incarcerated, and they will tell you, the reasons they will tell you are actually mounted on parenting. That maybe nilichapa mtu, I hit a boy hard, I murdered, I broke a leg,
Right.
right.
Okay.
I drowned somebody in water,
Oh no.
and they tell you that mimi nilizoea when I was growing up, nikifanya makosa kidogo I would get undeservedly thorough spanking. Nikifanya makosa kubwa, the same level of intensity of spanking or punishment. Sasa mimi nikazoea because sasa nikifanya kidogo napigwa, nikifanya mingi napigwa the same. So why should I bora nisifanye kitu kubwa mara moja so that nikichapa tu mara moja.
Oh no.
So that is actually the consequence of severe parenting.
But let's talk about severe parenting
Yes.
in terms of pleasure now, where reward.
It's either punishment or reward, or
Okay.
pain or pleasure.
For the reward segment, is it also the same as the punishment? Whether you do something small,
Yes.
something big, the same thing.
I said it is what we call zero-sum requirement, that you are either it or not, right? So, umefanya kitu kubwa, mzuri, the parent is happy. So they can give you a reward for that. Umefanya makosa, whether it's big or small, it's pain. There must be pain. Lazima upanishiwe. You keep, unakuta, mtoto ikose lazima achapwe. You've seen on TV, broken limbs, wengine wamechomwa na pasi,
Right.
others have a problem.
Na maji moto.
I watched on news some other time and where a child actually tied 2-year-old and a 6-year-old in the forest because of a mistake. For all night. And amazingly enough, God was able to save them from the wildlife, from animals. That is basically a product of pain-pleasure principle in severe parenting.
That's like,
All right?
yes.
Looking at that again, there's another consequence of severe parenting.
Okay.
Severe parents are usually, let me use this word. They are usually people who don't demand, or they don't need an explanation whatsoever, because they are severe. Now, if a child does a mistake, right, in this dysfunctional setup, what happens? The parent does not listen, or would not probe, or not inquire why, or not try to find out why they did what they did.
So they don't care if the child is okay?
So there's a lot of noise, a lot of verbal tussle, unapigisha mtoto kelele. As the child tries to explain, something happens. They begin to stammer.
Oh no.
Because they're trying to explain, and mom does not listen.
Okay.
Some people are stammerers congenitally,
Okay.
but others stammer because of severe parenting. The parent does not listen. You try to explain, they are rough on your back. They are hard on you. They are hitting hard before you explain. That it has caused many children to become stammerers in life.
Oh no.
Yep.
What?
That's severe parenting.
That's severe parenting has so many
Yeah.
consequences.
And in Africa, I would say, I cannot give any specific data, but by and large, most of us in those years,
Earlier.
because some parents we have boomers and the busters. But that's a different topic. Boomers and busters are people born between 50s and 70s. Okay? Between the 50s and the 70s are called boomers. We have the boomers and the busters. Mm-hmm. That age, and even preceding that period of time, most parents were severe.
Oh, okay.
All right? And remember, if it is a father, he has never had time with the children. They believed children is a task of women. Women and children are in the same basket.
Right.
So whether a child behaves rightly or negatively, it is usually the task of a mother or the responsibility of the mother.
And would find
Right.
that the father would punish the mother as well.
Exactly. Now, if a child would err, then they'd say, hii ni ujinga kama ya mama yako. Because
So sad.
by and large, the philosophy then, or the culture then, was child and mother are the same.
They're the
The
same.
discipline of a child is mounted on the mother.
Okay.
And that is why men, by and large, avoided disciplining the children. In fact, the issue of fathers now coming closer to their daughters and sons have been enforced recently. Is now they are beginning to have a father having a time with the daughter or the son. Ilikuwa kazi ya mama peke yake. That's one example of parenting.
All right, let's go
Because
to the other
as we
example.
said, maybe the next session we'll have next week, God willing, is now the panel where we'll have
Right,
questions. And I thought it's good to have introductions
Yes.
of a topic, then we have the panel so that they
will,
know exactly
definitely,
what to ask.
All right.
The second level is called absentee parent.
Okay.
That's still a dysfunctional type of parenting. Absentee parent is a parent who is never available in the critical years, in the developmental phase of a child. Even post-developmental phase, they are never available.
Okay.
Some communities believe more in that a man's value is calculated, or the mean of the value of a man is calculated based on what they are able to do, or based on the kind of money they bring home, or what they are able to lay on the table. Others, when they don't do that, just because, let me tell you something that has come to my mind.
Right.
Failure of the parents to talk to the children, or to have time for the children, has made now them try to drown these children, quote unquote, drown them in the education system.
That's true.
Right? You say now, when nataka usome. Do you know the kind of an impact that one has? You are bringing up a child in the way, or in the thought, or in the philosophy that life is made up of books only. So there's no any other arena of life. Life is about school and books and teacher and a blackboard and a school van.
Oh no.
Right. Just
Do
look at
they
it.
become excellent in the academic?
Not really. I'll come to that. Look at it. From 1.5 years, daycare. 6:30, drop off time, 8:30 p.m.
Wow.
6:30 a.m., 8:30. Those are almost 15 hours.
Those are a lot of
Right?
hours.
The parent has been busy. Akikuja, eat, go to bed. Morning, rise, go back to the daycare.
School.
The daycare, the person who is taking care of the children, parents never vet these people who are in the daycares. They don't have time for that.
They don't have
In the first place, if they don't have vital time for the children, how would they have vital time to background check the people in the daycare, in the schools?
Exactly.
Now, from 1.5 years, school and van and school, home late, sleep, wake up. Then by the time you hit 6 years, again school, the parent is too busy boarding. What happens? You only used to chalk and van and teacher and the bell. When you are in school, you find children equally with the same kind of a dysfunctional,
Absentee parenting.
right, kind of a setup. Upbringing that is dysfunctional. So we have a toast salad in the whole school of children from dysfunctional families. It becomes a big problem.
Why?
Now, what happens is this. Boarding all the way to class 8 boarding. From daycare, come a boarding, because that's half a day. That's semi-boarding, mini boarding. Then full boarding, class 8 boarding. From there, January boarding. Form 1, Form 4. From there, university again, it's like boarding.
Everything is boarding.
So by the time the child realizes themselves, when they are off school at the age of 24, 25, if they happen to go to university, or if it is post-college, they hardly know nothing about life. To them, mom alikuwa anamwambia, let me see your mean score, let me see your paper, let me see what position were you? And then, severe parent, unapitwa aje, unashindwaje? Spanking, that is spanking. What do they tell them? Life is made up of books and mean score. Did you know, and I think it is important for the viewers to understand this, and I want to make it as a punchline, that the mean score of life, the success of life, the mean score cannot be calculated with books alone. It can never be calculated with books alone. Dear viewers, it cannot.
Especially for the parents out there.
Right.
You need to know.
There's a whole world outside here.
Exactly.
Though these people, now this is what I was coming to. We've had now people, that's why you see people, even in politics, people are doing silly stuff based on they were never brought up. The parents were absentee parents.
So they don't...
They have nothing. In other words, they were never mentored.
Oh no.
So they fight in parliament, they fight in whatever they have, they insult the president, they know,
Oh, no.
they even insult the employees. Because only the way they were brought up.
That's
why I said,
they don't have social skills.
and that is why I said, God begins with the family If it is healthy the way he wants, that's divine order, then we'll have a good church and a good country. The world will be at peace. But now it's
the other way around.
We have missed it. So, this is the impact of absentee parents in terms of life skills. That we have, school all the way to 24 years or 21 or 23. So what we have is what I call academic robots, but thoughtless dwarfs.
Oh no.
Academic robots, but thoughtless dwarfs. People who do not have life skills because the parent never imparted on the child.
Okay. But don't they get these life skills from associating with their colleagues in school?
They don't.
For example.
They don't.
And the teachers?
The only person who can instill you, I said, the discipline that the life skill is a parent because he is the person who is with you during the developmental phase. The others are secondary.
Oh, right.
They will
and also
influence.
The parent, whatever
Exactly.
the parent tells you, you are more likely to get.
Exactly.
To follow.
Exactly.
Than when someone else tells you. They'll be like, my parent has not told me that.
Yes.
Why should I follow? Right.
And then the people I think would help me, they also have a problem. My friends also have a problem in upbringing.
Oh, no.
The time I begin to know how to choose friends, it is late in life.
Oh, no.
Because sometimes we choose friends as adolescents or teenage based on what we call puppy love.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that puppy love, like a puppy, yeah? It's puppy love. It's basically not constructive friendship.
Right.
Because
It's not
at that time, you
beneficial.
hardly know what you're mounted on. You hardly know your philosophy. You hardly know what is life. You've been brought up in books. You are just an academic robot, but a thoughtless dwarf.
But you don't know.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, looking at that, let's go to the other level because we are expecting questions to come in.
Right.
There's what we call the overindulgent parent. That's still is a dysfunctional.
Okay.
Overindulgent. Yeye kazi yake ni kupeana tu bila maswali. That now instill or has an impact on the child. Yeye anajua whatever I need in life, life will give.
Plus, I feel like, do these people also, when a child says, this person wronged me, the mother doesn't ask the child how or anything. They go to that person,
Yes.
say, you wronged my child, you have to. So, the child always
Exactly.
feels defended in everything.
Because you are overindulgent.
They feel entitled.
And so
actually.
you take this child to school or you take them for Sunday school, the problem begins there. The Sunday school teacher maybe was brought up nicely.
Okay.
But now you've brought in a dysfunctional,
Child.
a child who has been brought up by, let me just make it simple, dysfunctional or overindulgent parent. Amekuja Sunday school. An overindulgent parent, a child who is a product of overindulgency is a child who does not take a no for an answer. They don't take a no.
Wow. Because the parent never tells them I know.
Exactly, because everything is yes. Mom, I want to bite so bite. Mom, I want to sit on the pillow. Chukua. Mom, I want to hit this sufuria. Chukua. Eat it. Mom, I want pizza. I want ice cream. I want to go to church. I don't want this clothes.
No.
You find children who throw things in the house that they want. And
The
TV.
tantrums. They
The
throw
tantrums.
everywhere.
By the way, do you know, at the age of 2, 3, and
Yes,
4,
yes.
thereabout, we call them, I'm forgetting that name. That age is where children tend to become bullies. Because this is the time of curiosities. They are called the terrible 2. You've heard of terrible 2?
Yes.
Now, if you're not a parent and you're absentee and you're a severe parent, you don't talk to them, you don't instill this value. When they grow up, now you become overindulgent. Anaenda kwa church, anasumbua mwalimu, anasumbua Sunday school teacher, hata pastor. And then the problem goes to the government. Wanawekwa kwa cell.
Why?
So the same child you did not instill values on is going to be the problem in your life. When you are old, you have a lot of time going to prison, going to the courts. Kwenda kwa mwalimu, you hardly work. Unakuta umepatwa na stress, depression, unakufa unamwacha. Because what goes around comes around. Basically, yes. So overindulgent parent. Now, this is a child who does not take a no for an answer.
Even when it comes to their girlfriends, for example.
Exactly. The same process is a chain, is a reactionary chain all the way. The latitude of acceptance is totally different. Is a yes.
Okay. So do they also become overindulgent parents?
Exactly. Now that one makes them become overindulgent parents. Right? Mom used to give me this. Okay, then they get married. Your girlfriend, your fiance. Na yeye pia ni mtu from overindulgent parenthood. You're also from overindulgent. Exactly.
The overindulgent and overindulgent come together.
Exactly. You never know. There's a high chance they will also. So what happens?
Okay.
We have what we call manipulative controllers. Both of them are manipulative
Oh, no.
controllers.
Right.
Because you have to give me, or I hang
Alright.
myself, or I burn the whole house.
Goodness,
I'm an,
that's so
you know,
true.
I mix the
If
gas
you
leak.
leave me, I will
you know,
leave you. I will,
yes.
I will die.
I'm going to
Those are the people who manipulate are from
manipulate
overindulgent
because
parents.
mama, I'm a baba, I'm a stepfather, was like that.
Okay. Wow.
And that is
I'm
actually,
learning a lot.
it's more psychological because it is actually what we call, I'm forgetting. Ooh, sorry.
It's okay.
Don't worry, you know, speakers, we sometimes the thought process is ahead of the
it's,
tongue.
It's definitely okay.
Ahead
We
of the
actually
time.
do want to go on a short break
Yeah.
as you think
We'll come
about
to that,
what
yes.
what you're talking about. So we've learned about dysfunctional families. We've learned of the first one, the severe parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, we've learned the absentee parenting, and number 3, we've learned about the overindulgent parenting.
Good.
So when we come back, we want to see some of the questions that you have on Facebook for us. We are going on a short break, but remember to join the conversation through our social media handles: Facebook Focus TV Kenya, Instagram Focus TV _Kenya, and Twitter at Focus TV Kenya. Remember, we are live on Facebook as well, so your comments as they come in, we'll be reading them. And if you have any question concerning this parenting, please remember to text or comment. All right, we are going, but we'll be right back.
Well,
From when they're so young, they are already in daycare.
it's not wrong to be busy, but people will always rationalize that I'm so busy. So 6 a.m. You know, sometimes I come across children. You know, when you are passing, either walking or driving, you see
Right.
children from as young as 2 years,
Right.
6:30 a.m. kwa stage anagoja gari, ama 1 year 8 months, others 12 months, infants
12
anapelekwa daycare.
Wow.
If the
Welcome back. This is the Morning Bright Focus show with me, Victoria Chebet, and on set I have our expert David Kibe, and he is talking to us today about parenting. We have been able to tackle 3 types of dysfunctional parenting. Number 1 type was the overindulgent parent. Number 2 was the severe parent, and number 3 was the absentee parent. And today we have some comments on Facebook, and I'll read some of them. Moses Bugwa is asking, how then can someone change after being brought up in a dysfunctional family? Number 2 is Wilson. He's saying, what then is good parenting?
Okay.
Right. And the other one, someone is saying, Jacqueline Yambura is saying present as usual, and she is watching from Githunguri. Thank you, Jacqueline. All right. So, David, those are the 2 questions. that we have on
the first question is then how can we be able to, can read it again? Then how?
Yeah. How can someone then who's been
Okay.
brought up in a dysfunctional family
Yes.
change?
Well, first of all, the viewer who has asked that question, we are not yet done,
Okay.
but there's always hope. It is never too late. But if you are never, you never had a chance to go through good parenting, which I'm about to talk about, which is balanced parenting, then there's a chance that when you become a parent now, but dear viewer, you need now to adapt those skills to help your offspring from then, because it is never too late. If it did not work for you, it can work for others. Yes. So there's still chance.
They still are
And we can only learn by reading,
material
attending parenting seminars, listen to this kind of a fora
forum.
or a forum. This kind of fora these kind of forums are good.
Okay.
Lovely. So
Right. And the other person was asking what then is good parenting, which we
yeah,
want
we'll
to
talk about
now.
we'll talk
All
about
right.
that. So
Okay.
just I would request them to stay glued on the screen.
All right. Just as a recap, let's just talk about a little of what you were just talking about before we went on break. We were talking about the overindulgent parent, who is a parent who does not say no.
Yes, it's a yes parent.
Is a yes parent.
Yes.
Doesn't ask why.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so the impact is the child becomes a child who can never take a no for an answer. Yes.
Okay, so we I'm sure even you viewers out there, you've met so many people who they're not okay with no's. They don't understand when you tell them a no. Right, and it's true. Sometimes your parent may not be too overindulgent, David Kibe. It's just that they don't say no so many times. So even as a person, you're not okay with no's. I know
Yes.
that even for most of my people I've met, they've had to grow up to accept no's.
Yes, but for
Right.
them to accept a no, it has taken parenting.
Exactly.
It has taken. Others begin to take a no or to take a yes for an answer when it is too late
No.
in life.
Wait, take a yes for an answer. What do you
I mean, if a child is a child who cannot take a no for an answer, then it's a yes child.
Yeah.
Now, what happens? Even their sexuality is affected. Because umezoea, everything is a yes. So if somebody wants to use you sexually, you still say you still accept.
Oh no.
Well, goes
So
you as
you have a
whatever you
problem
say mom
saying
gives.
no
You have
as
a problem
well.
picking no, and you have a
Oh,
problem saying no. Because
Okay, so
to you a no
boundaries.
is a taboo word.
Oh no.
Exactly.
So it's bad on all
On both sides. On both sides.
So you don't know how to say no.
Yes.
You also don't know how to
take
take a no.
Exactly.
Oh no.
Exactly.
That's so sad.
So you become a yes person. The opposite of a no is a yes person
So
also.
sad. These are people who are easily abused.
Exactly. That's what makes people easily abused, even at job, even in school, even in relationships. It's a whole ripple effect. It's a whole ripple effect. So can we now go to the next level?
Yes, let's go to the next level now.
It's what we call over permissive parent. Over permissive.
Okay.
It's a different. It's not like over indulgent. Over permissive. Over indulgent is something to do with gifts and giving, right? And the child taking. But over permissive, he may not give, but he allows every activity, every action is allowable to that parent. Anything you want is allowable. Over you permit. Mom, nataka kwenda kulala kwa kina nani, sawa. Mom, nataka kuchuna huyu, sawa. I want to do this. You are from the word permission, called over permissive parents.
Isn't that the same as a yes parent?
Still the same, but that's still a category. We need to talk them, and so that there's no, it's not ambiguous. Yeah. So over permissive parent is another one. That one I will not talk, because that one, in relation to being overindulgent, over permissive, is closely related.
Okay.
Right? Wewe kazi yako ni kusema yes, you are a yes parent. Overindulge is from the word you give. You indulge by giving, either money or what you know. And over permissive is allowing now, allowing actions, either favorable or unfavorable. You allow it all. These are people who, when they grow up, either in marriage or adolescence, they have a problem with also saying no, or they have a problem. They are so pushy. In other words, they are bossy people. Bossy. They are pushy.
Okay.
You know, if I decide to do something, you must allow me to do. You must allow me to date this one. You must allow me to go dance. You must allow me to take. It doesn't matter. I want to take bang. I want to take pizza twice a day. I want to do over permissive parents.
Right.
There's a whole challenge there when it comes even to single parenthood. Whether it's a single dad or a single mom, it's a problem. What happens is because sometimes in this dysfunctional parenting, we try to balance a certain aspect of life by either by indulging or over permissiveness. It's something you're trying to balance. It's called balancing. It's actually an action of the brain. It's psychological. It's balancing, or you become super reasonable, right?
Okay.
Try to balance something by trying to hide another. There's a problem, or if you're an absentee parent, let's come back there. You're hardly there for the child. What happens?
The child will learn to,
Exactly. So what you do,
live by
you
themselves.
allow things and actions to balance your absenteeism.
Okay. So an absentee parent can also be
Become
an
over permissive on the other side. Yes.
Oh, because they're trying to.
They are trying to
they feel
balance. They are
guilty.
rationalizing. Yes.
They feel
Take these. Yes.
guilty.
I'll buy you a computer. I'll buy you a
Yes,
car. I'll
it's
buy a
true.
toy.
Whatever
Because-
you want.
So
I'll
that
buy
the
it for
gadgets
you.
become the parent.
Oh, no.
The friends become the parent. They fill a gap by being over permissive. What goes around comes around.
And I also had a question concerning, from someone who's raised from a severe parent.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard people say, my parent used to never let me do anything. I'm going to give my child anything they
Yes,
want. You see?
exactly.
That's also a repercussion of
Exactly.
coming from a dysfunctional family, right?
It is highly witnessed in single parenting or single parenthood.
Okay.
I'm busy, I'm the father, I'm the mother, right? I'm both. So what I'll do is that I'll get so caught up in running and schedules and money. It's called money minting business, which is okay. But then you sacrificed at the behest of the child. You sacrifice the child. So instead of, because you feel also bad and wanting deep inside, you balance that by over permissiveness. Others will also do that by being overindulgent. It's a psychological issue.
Okay.
Okay. So let's go to the other level because that one is a little bit clearer. It's not.
Yes, it's a bit clearer.
And so there's what we call the parents who. Let me try to use a phrase first, then we'll get to the word. There are parents who, as they bring up children, would not allow what we call logical consequences of an action. What I mean is, parents, in as much as a child does wrong, they would not want to reason with the child. The impact of the action is this. Hey, Mercy, when you cry loud, when you shout when when we have visitors, when you pout, okay, when you become cranky and irritable in front of the guests, we'll hardly talk. I cannot hear what guests are saying. I cannot hear what your grandpa is saying. So these kind of parents also have a problem in terms of if they don't allow the child to know that there's always a consequence of their actions. Okay?
Okay.
And so, let me take you back a little bit. In parenting, is always good to make children, as they grow up, to make them to make them aware that every action has a consequence. So that, and that is now what we say, when a parent is a faulty role model, okay? Because that's the other level. When a parent is a faulty role model, they do not know exactly which areas to touch. They do not know exactly what values to instill. They do not know exactly what matters in life. What are the important areas? What are the important prerequisites in parent?
Okay.
So the parent becomes a free-floating being. It's like neutral value child. Whatever comes in, it's good in life to stand for something.
So they don't stand for anything, so they are not impacting any skills to the children. We are just living life.
Yes, because you're just a model but faulty.
The child has questions for such a parent?
The child does not know really what the parent stands for.
Oh no.
It's a faulty role model.
So what happens to the child?
Doesn't know whether the child, the dad loves forgiving, whether he loves to keep time, whether he is just a parent who is on a gray area. It's a faulty role model kind of a parent.
Wait, but if you have your mom constantly or your dad constantly there with you, wouldn't you as a child pick up on their values and some of the things that they stand for?
But yes, but we have parents who you can hardly know where they stand, what they stand for.
Because everything is permissible?
Yes, exactly. So you become a faulty role. It's a model, yes. They want to emulate you because children learn by observing.
Yes.
But they really do not know what mom is about, what she stands for.
Oh my goodness.
She can get angry, sometimes she's happy, sometimes she's a good timekeeper, sometimes she's organized in the house, sometimes she's not. Sometimes she's shouting, she's pouting also. So you are confused. It's called a faulty role model. Just makes the child so confused.
Oh no. Oh no.
So to them, everything is permissible.
So what happens to the child then?
They also become faulty role models. They stand for nothing.
They become confused?
And that is the beginning of relativism, that anything I do could be right, depending on how I look at it.
Oh, right. So this is now brings these people who
yes,
everything is permissible.
Yes.
They don't really have a no.
Because mom or dad or my stepfather, whoever is it, stands for nothing. I really do not know what they stand for. Wow. In this life, you must stand for something. You must stand for something.
There are also the people who don't know how to say no, right?
Exactly.
And they're also part of those people.
Exactly.
Okay.
You really do not, you are not able to locate the latitude of a parent. And that becomes a confusion to the child. Yeah.
So it is important for parents out there to stand for something.
Stand for
if
something.
You don't have anything
and
to stand
keep
for.
mentioning and instilling it. Keep mentioning and instilling it. Keep mentioning. Keep following it up. Now.
All right, that's very true because as I'm thinking about this and I realized that my parent, for example, used to always say, I don't like people touching things and taking them somewhere else. Leave those things where they are. You know, that's important.
Yes.
Because we learned how to not take things from a certain place to take them to another place.
Yes.
Even now you learn you cannot be touching things and dropping them somewhere else.
Yes.
Right? Okay, interesting.
Well, like what I said, what we call the terrible years, the terrible two. Children, there's an age, children want to be bullies because they're trying to learn things. They're trying to set boundaries for themselves. They're trying to identify themselves.
That's normally around 2?
Around 2 to 3 years is terrible 2. We say terrible 2. Children are bullies. They pinch, they pull their noses, they hit, they throw away things. That's the time to go back to the ones I told you.
They lie as well.
They also lie as well. They also hit dad, they hit mom sometimes for flimsy reason. As a parent, if your child is in that phase of identity crisis, kind of an identity crisis, you need not get frustrated. Yours is to calmly direct the child. Because when they are bullying, they are trying to set up their territory.
Okay.
Trying to understand themselves. Trying to bargain for themselves. So at that time is when you need now to balance the parenting. Because if you're not careful, you become over-indulgent at that time, you become permissive, you become a photo role model, you become a severe parent. If you're not careful, that's the time you'll confuse a child more. You need to calm down and try to, and you know, by the way, it is different. We have different types of children. Some children have got kind of a special need at that time. You need also to understand. If parents don't want to go or to inquire or to find knowledge in parenting, then they are always found or caught up in a crisis.
I do want to ask, for example, just give me like an illustration. I have this child who's beating me, she's throwing tantrums. What can I as a parent do at that moment? You're saying to calm down, but
Yes.
like, how do I calm down, and how do I now direct my child to do, the right thing? Just demonstrate.
That's the time to what we call to reconnect the child. Try to understand. Kuja hapa mama, kwa nini unatupa vitu? Kwa nini unatupa?
Okay. And then?
Sometimes they are not able to express it. Because even themselves, they don't know, they are confused. They do not know exactly what they need.
It's true.
So you're supposed to bring them closer. If you're not careful, you become severe. You hit and smack. Anytime you think you spank, you slap, you hit hard, you lock up in a closet. It's good to try to understand. If they're not able to express themselves, you need to try to understand. Come, hiyo ni mbaya. Kutupa kitu itaharibika, ni mbaya. Now this is what I call explain the logical consequences of an action to a child. Ukitupa hii TV ukiangusha chini itavujika, utaona cartoon kesho. It is wrong. Umegonga mama naye ametoka damu, ameumia, nasikia uchungu. Try to bargain with them. And this is where parents, I say, they become severe at that time. It becomes so severe. Unasikia umevunja mtoto backbone, you break the backbone, you pinch, you hurt them, you injure skin, you tear a vein. That is the time you're supposed to be more. Now, see, let me take you back a little bit because it's a good question. Your child is in these terrible years, terrible 2, terrible 3 years, but you are not there. They're in school. They're acting out harshly. They're irritable, they are cranky, they are pushy, they are bossy in school, but you're not there. By the time you come at 9 p.m. to pick the child, amechoka anataka kulala, you are hardly aware of what is happening in the terrible 2 years. So they are bullies in school. You are not there, you did not see it. So that one is postponed. By the time you realize, ako high school, ama ako university, ni kupush watu na kuchoma mashule.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, schools now they got down schools, can you see? It's terrible. Every action has got a consequence. You ignore, you overlook, it has an impact later in life. That is what we're really talking about here.
We want to start winding down.
Yes.
And I just want us to pick up on what it entails to be a good parent.
Okay, right. Okay. So we are coming now to, because there are so many other things we can talk about parenting, but allow me to just talk about those 4. I think there are 4, 5 thereabouts. There are 5. So allow me now to talk about balanced parenthood.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Balanced parenting is where you are aware of all those types of parents and you try to balance it out. First of all, by trying to set values early in life, not only setting up, but also trying to follow it up, trying to understand that a child has needs, exposing them to an environment that we are going to fulfill those needs, but controllably. You have to control it. You are not overindulgent. You indulge, but you indulge with a reason, with a good reason, with a logical, reason. And you also explain to a child, you cannot have pizza today, for example. You had it yesterday. You cannot have pizza daily. I don't have money for pizza every day. There are other needs. I need to buy you clothes, or I need to take you to school, or I need you to, if you are paying rent, this house we are paying, let them start to understand, right? I need money to go to work. I need money for the car if you have one. I need money to buy I need to balance. We also need money for Christmas. You'll be going to see your aunties or your grandpa. You try to make them understand a little bit as they grow. But at 2 years, 1.5, they cannot understand. The only thing you can make them understand is that sometimes there's a no, and your no means a no. Because the other problem is you say a no here, then
and then you say yes.
Then you say yes. So that's it confuses the child. You said no, but now you have given. So they
which
said
means-
to them, everything is permissible in life.
Right, very true. So you're
A
saying no,
balanced
but
parenting.
it's not really no.
Exactly.
They know you will give it to
Exactly.
them.
It's called balance. You have to balance it.
So what I'm getting from being a good parent is you have to be self-aware.
Self-aware.
Be aware.
Aware.
Awareness.
And then be
And then-
close to the child. Be available.
How do we create the self-awareness in a person? For example, I'm this parent. I know and I realize that I didn't really grow up in a very good parent setup when I was growing up. Now I'm trying to be aware. How can I be aware?
It begins by acquiring knowledge. There are so many seminars and forums and books you can read and
Right.
movies you can watch on
Very true.
parenting.
Okay.
Our people have a problem with trying to get or acquire knowledge.
We do.
And that's why I said these phones with data, there's no need of WhatsApping the whole day and laughing with people and showing off or looking at some models of phones and clothes. It's still okay, but you need to also
remembering.
balance. Remember your parent. Balance
Very
by
true.
trying to acquire knowledge.
Very true. And I'm
Because
remembering
life-
someone said, if you want to hide anything from an African, you could just hide it in a book.
Exactly.
And they won't find it.
Our people don't read.
People don't.
They don't read.
And
They
it's
only
very
read
true.
because there's an exam in the corner or because they want a pay hike.
Oh my goodness, that's so true.
If you go to town, in the bookshops, you only see people, if you see someone strolling in the bookshop or walking around a bookshop, they are doing so because it's a curriculum book. It must be bought for January. But the books that are self-motivational, the Bible, other books for
Daddy,
parenting
people
books,
don't.
books on cookery, people don't read. Those books, actually bookshops now are shutting down. Actually, do you know, let me give you an example, it's a little bit laughable.
Tell me.
If there's any chaos in town, if there's a riot in town, any town, if you want to be safe, run into a bookshop. Because nobody comes there. Run into a bookshop. Nobody comes. You only see people with headphones and earphones down the street listening to some music, which is okay, but the wrong things the wrong time. You're a parent and you are busy on WhatsApp 10 hours a day or 5 hours a day.
Alright.
You're on flight 5 hours, you're on train 5 hours,
Yes,
WhatsApp and Facebook, and you have a child at
It's
home.
just Aki, we do need to cultivate a reading culture.
Reading culture,
Alright.
inquisitorial culture, research-oriented kind of a study. You don't only read because there's an exam or you need a pay hike. Read to beat yourself, to understand parenting, to understand the wherewithal of life, life skills, all that, and
It's
all
all
the
in a
information. In fact, not even in a book right now. Books are now becoming e-books. I don't have to go to a bookshop. I can
You
still
don't,
subscribe
you
to
don't.
a site
Very true.
and be able to read a lot of stuff.
So true. All right. So apart from learning through knowledge,
Yes.
what else can you do?
You say, attend seminars, parenting seminars.
Okay.
Right? Listen to forums.
All right.
Right?
Right.
Make time. Spend money to pay for a seminar, a team building, no, not a team building, a seminar, educative kind of a seminar or a forum. Spend money for that. Budget for that so that you become a good parent.
So
Some of the mistakes brought out by dysfunctional parenting are out of ignorance.
Okay.
And ignorance is no defense. After all, the impact is already there. It's a ripple
Because,
effect. The child became unbalanced in life
it's so
because
true.
of your choice.
It's not like an exam where you can retake.
Yes.
This is life happening
It's like-
every day.
yes.
You cannot take back yesterday.
A
What you
misstep-
did yesterday is done.
A misstep is a misstep, period.
Exactly.
Right.
So we want to wind up. Unfortunately, time
yes,
is
yes.
not on our side. But next week we'll be back talking on the same issue. We'll have a few minutes to talk about
Yes.
what you've not covered today, and
Yes.
then we'll have our panel. They'll be asking the questions that we probably will be having.
Exactly.
There's so many questions that we have on parenting, and there's so much knowledge out here. And we are so thankful to David Kibe for coming to talk to us about such crucial matters. All right. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can talk to us through our social media handles: Facebook Focus TV Kenya, Instagram Focus TV_Kenya, and Twitter @Focus TV Kenya. I want to give David an opportunity to say how you can reach him as well if you want to contact him personally.
Well, let me begin by saying next time we're going to talk about how to discipline a child. Now.
Okay.
How
okay.
to discipline
All right.
a child. We'll talk
Okay.
about that next time. If you want to reach me, you can use my Facebook page, David Kibe, or you can use Twitter, Minor K David. You can also reach me on my mobile number that is on the screen. I'm just a call away.
All right. Thank you so much, David. We've had an amazing time, and I'm sure you've had an amazing time as well. We are unfortunately out of time, but remember to join me tomorrow for Talent Thursday. We are going to have an amazing, amazing, amazing artist on set. So don't go anywhere for tomorrow. And today, have a lovely day. It's been Women Chat Wednesday, and my name is Victoria Chebet. Thank you for joining me on the Morning Bright Focus Show. See you tomorrow.